Okay, there's several things about the life of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born in the month of February 1818. He died in 1895 at the age of 77. He was born in 1818 and he died at the age of 77. Now, they say it was a mix. He was mixed in that he believed, he's not sure who his father was, because it was common for Caucasian men to impregnate enslaved black females. That was very common at that time. So he's not sure if his father was the slave master or not. Another thing to be pointed out, that how they break up families was common for the mother to be sold away from the child. Because when Frederick Douglass was an infant, the mother was sold to a slave master. Now, a slave master, that's a person who masters the slave, mentally masters the slave in Kentucky. And he was brought up, Frederick Douglass was brought up by his maternal grandfather, who was free, and a grandmother who was enslaved. So that's another telling how the freed black people yet stayed with his enslaved wife. And then again, there was some people who it was white and appeared to be kind. So the white slave mistress used to teach Frederick Douglass how to read. But the husband said education was incompatible to slavery. So she stopped teaching Frederick Douglass. But Frederick Douglass taught himself, and he learned from the white children in the neighborhood. Because Frederick Douglass was enslaved in the city of Maryland, which was preferable than the plantation life further south. So Frederick Douglass educated himself and he yearned for freedom. And he said, I don't know how he said that his mother also was literate. So that shows how the influence the mother have on the child. Another thing that is important, that the slave master, one who mastered the mind of the slave, leased Frederick Douglass out to a poor white farmer named Covey. Covey used to beat Frederick Douglass mercilessly until Frederick Douglass got up the courage to fight him back. And from that time on, Covey, who was an overseer, never did touch Frederick Douglass again. And that's a lesson to us where we have to fight back. So police officers keep killing black men until they had enough and will fight back. It reminds me of Tina Turner, Ike and Tina Turner. But Ike used to beat Tina often until one time She fought him back, and he never touched her again. And I seen Tina Turner and Ike in a performance when I was in my 20s, early 20s, at the Apollo. And I noticed to myself, I noticed Ike Turner, and I said to myself, without any knowledge of truth, I said to myself, that looked like a pimp. He looked like he have a mind of a pimp. And towards women. And sure enough, years later, I found out the truth of their relationship. And he was, even though he was not really called pimp, but his behavior was like that of one. So anyway, another thing about Frederick Douglass, how a woman was so instrumental in his life. It's no wonder that he fought also for women's rights. He was married to that beautiful black woman, Anna Marie Douglas. Beautiful black woman who was 5 years older than Frederick. And she was a freed woman. She was freed. She wasn't enslaved. Beautiful black. And she aided Frederick Douglass. She supported him. Also monetarily, she helped him. That freed, beautiful black woman, Anna Marie. And you see a picture of her. And I wish I was more knowledgeable about video editing or so forth, where I could put a picture up there of her. And I hope to be knowledgeable about that. I mean, there's people who's not as smart as I am, but they are very knowledgeable about videographing and editing and so forth. Of course, that woman is, you can see her on the internet. Frederick Douglass also was an orator. He believed in using logic and reasoning towards white people. So he was an orator, a great orator. And the Caucasian people, for some reason, thought that black enslaved people didn't have intelligence. But that was disproved by Frederick Douglass. And also, the fact that they sold his mother away when he was an infant, which they often did, break up family. And the amazing thing that after slavery, black people they lost relatives that were sold away. And the black people, from that time, the end of slavery until around 1960, had the most stable family in America. That was not lost upon white people. And that I think Henry Monahan wrote a book not to help black people, but to actually warn white people, instruct white people the weakness of the black family, which was stable at that time. And so from 1960 on, they worked to destroy the black family, who was the most stable in America up until 1960. The same thing, Tulsa. They see black people, wealthy neighborhoods, doing better than the Caucasian around them. They became jealous. They want to be on top. Yet, they destroyed that neighborhood. After they destroyed, and now black people is on the bottom financially in America, even lower than Hispanics financially. So they began to lock in black people up in the 60 after 60. How to destroy the family. And Hispanics, we outnumber Hispanics during that time. Then they started letting the Hispanics in more and more and more on. They let the Cubans in and so forth. The white Cubans, who the Hebrew Israelite, those foolish people saying that the Cubans is part of the 12 tribes. They stupid, ignorance, misleading the people. About 12 tribes. They have the Ecuadorians and I don't know, some kind of BS. Who gonna believe that mess they put out? And Esau, they have no understanding of Esau. And if they did, they still would mislead the people. They have no. Esau had the blessings. The best was he was entitled to the blessings. So I'm getting back to my subject about Frederick Douglass, where he fought, and also when it comes back about the family life, and he was married to Anna Marie for 44 years. That black, beautiful black, fully black woman for 44 years. Anna Marie family was more intact. So what did they let the Hispanics in? We were outnumbered the Hispanics. I remember when we outnumbered the Hispanics greatly, then they started letting them in from Mexico, Ecuador, and all those places. They let them in, taking those jobs away that black people used to have. Then they started letting immigrants in, even from the Caribbean, and undermining the original black Americans. They had, I mean, there's method to their madness. Methods to their madness, undermining the original black Americans. And now there are some black people now, they want to leave America. But many, they leave America, like James Baldwin left America. Well, where did they go to? A Caucasian country like France, Germany, Ecuador. Some even go to Ecuador, Mexico, where they say they don't want to be looked on as black. They say that. Black people have the nerve, the temerity to say they don't want to be looked on as black. So they go to a different country where they would not be recognized. See, why? I love being black. But they even say that. They're escaping America because America, that's what's giving us our consciousness, waking us up. But they want to go back to sleep. So they escape to Germany, where there's no escape, but they have far right people there with swastika and so forth and so on. So that is no escape. But they want to escape being black. They say they don't want to be seen as black. So they feel they don't want to be, well, what's wrong with being looked on as, that's what you are. Don't go to escape who you are, but to recognize it. The name of Frederick Douglass, even though he was mixed, but he was a dark mix. He was about the color of Obama, or even darker than Obama, or more blacker than Obama. He was a great orator. He was also once the ambassador to Haiti, to the country of Haiti for about 3 years, I think until 1891. He was the ambassador to Haiti, Frederick Douglass. And he held a lot of political office. And of course, he wrote 3 autobiographies. And he stated, after he beat the overseer He said, "You have seen how a man became a slave, but now you shall see how a slave become a man." That's why we have to fight. But many of us become less than a man. Marrying a Caucasian woman, thinking that will make you white. Marrying a Caucasian man. The Caucasian man used to impregnate the black woman, some by rape or coercion, or of course the simplicity of the slave. But now the black woman willingly, they are willingly giving their bodies to the Caucasian man. They are doing it willingly. So in the name of Anna Marie Douglas, help us get our minds back. Help us, Anna Marie Douglas, in the way ahead. This year, 2020, is our fight for freedom economically. Justifiably. Raise our intelligence where a black man must stop doing silly things, petty crime, to become victim to his enemy, waiting for him to make a forced move, waiting for him to do anything to justify being imprisoned for a little or no, and for a long time for petty mess. That's a sin against Caucasian, the wickedness. They are noted for unjust reasons. They are imprisoned many silly black men for unjust reasons. But all this sin is returning back upon their own head.